Hi, so welcome back to Real Auto Reports right here at Real Auto Ranch. I'm Jonathan Malone McGrew, and today we have the real first impressions video on the 2015 Audi Allroad. Yes, we saw this car early on in our Real Auto Reports videos, so we're going to do the full first impressions 2 model years later for 2015. So let's take a look. So from the front on the 2015 Audi Allroad, what you're going to notice is a nice, smooth, and kind of reserved design, but it still has that aggressive flair. And it gets that aggression by some of these call-out designs here, these lines that come around the front. You have your large grille here that extends down to the aluminum plating down here in the bottom where the intakes are. Of course, you have these nice strong lines that come up the hood and follow up over the back of the vehicle. So it all creates kind of forward motion and comes around to the front of the vehicle. It's a nice design also because you have some pinching here on the front, and you have these lovely pipe lights that are your daytime running lights on the Audi. When these came out on the redesign for the B segment, the Audi A4s, A5s, and the Audi A4 Allroad, or just Allroad here in the US, that pipe lighting drive light was super cool because the previous generation used larger LED dot bulbs along the front. This just looks super futuristic, and I like it a lot better, and it gives the car presence when it pulls up. Now, your Allroad is going to be higher off the ground than other competing sport wagons in the luxury segment, comparable though to the Subaru Outback in terms of sitting up higher from a driver perspective, and you can see that kind of front approach clearance here in the front. Now, let's go take a look at the side and see how the lines come together there, and then we'll look at the rest of the car. So from the side on the Audi Allroad, what you're going to notice is a vehicle that has strong lines, great design characteristics, and good fit and finish. In fact, it's kind of like the quintessential Chevrolet Nomad of the time. These sport wagons are not plentiful in the market today, but this is one that captures the attention of consumers, and I think is one of the best looking in terms of its overall design package. It looks sporty, it looks a bit rugged, and it has great lines here. Look at how you've got your plastic fender flares here to keep the rock chips down so it can do the off-road do. You can get these in a painted option as well if you want to look a little higher end, just like you can on a Jeep. You can get the painted fenders now. This is nice though. Look at this line. It comes up through here, through the bulge in the reflector of the taillight, straight down the midline of the car, some lovely detail, down through the front headlight here, following the line of the fit and finish, and all the way back into the cut line here in the fender flare. Some nice things here. Also notice the detail of the fender flare here on the rear. It breaks at the door, but it all lines up fairly well, and it makes the car look whole, and they didn't try to do anything funny there. They kept this line coming around and then down through your rocker panels there with your aluminum trim, your aluminum roof rails. This is a nice looking car. It has that luxury touch. You have power fold-in mirrors when you lock the doors. You have turn signals in the mirrors. All in all, the Audi for 2015 hasn't changed a lot in the Allroad, but you do have some new features like the privacy glass, and you can get some new optional 18-inch wheels that we don't see here. It's a vehicle that definitely is worth a look, but from the side you can tell it's also a fairly low-profile vehicle, even though it sits higher up off the ground than most of its competitors. Let's take a look at the back, and then we'll check out the interior on this Allroad. From the back, the Allroad has a nice low-profile back bumper. It has a nice slope here to the rear hatch, and you have your integrated third brake light up here in the top, your windshield wiper. Notice the slight little chin spoiler back here that's nicely integrated into the design of the back end. It's all very compact, but still looks really sharp. You also have your aluminum trim down here along the bottom with your plastic inset to go with your wheel wells around the edge, sort of wrapping the vehicle. Again, you can get an all color keyed style on these cars now as well in 2015. And then of course you have your dual exhaust with your chrome tips there. Now what's nice about this vehicle is you also have the rear hatch. If I can find, there it is, the little button under the lip there of the license plate with your rear camera. You have your auto rear hatch that opens, your privacy cover in the back, and really good room here. So if I just kind of get in here, you can kind of see that this is pretty deep. This is a pretty good sized trunk space. And from a real first impressions perspective, you also have this lovely chromed or polished area right here at the load end, which means you won't be scraping the plastic. Sure, you might have to polish this out over time because you'll scratch the gloss finish here, but it gives it that touch, and you have your chromed trim rings through the floor and on the sides here so you can tie things down. They've thought through the system and how people are going to use this vehicle, and I think they've done a nice job. Now the only thing is that to flip the back seats down, you have to reach back in here or come around from the rear seats, you know, through the rear doors. And I would have liked to have seen remote pops like we do on some of the other vehicles out there on the market. But that's a little bit of a nit, but a first impressions note. Now you have your close button here. One thing I do notice is that you can open the trunk with the key, but it's a little touchy, it seems sometimes, that you have to hold it and it doesn't have any instructions really on it about pressing twice or what have you. So it's definitely something you have to get used to. Let's go take a look at the inside. So from the driver's seat in the 2015 Audi Allroad, this has the upgraded interior. So we do have the two-tone, the chestnut brown and the black with your aluminum accents. Of course, we have the new MMI system and the color display for the driver information, which is nice as well. Otherwise, it's pretty much stayed pretty similar in this 2015 Audi Allroad. Nice wheel with good controls. You have your volume, your voice, you have your modes for your display, turn signals, headlights, cruise control, all stuff that you need and easy to reach. Now, something we do notice is that in this package, you don't seem to have a heated steering wheel, but you do have heated seats, but not cooled seats, which is kind of interesting because like in the IS350 F Sport that we've looked at from Lexus, which will be in this price category, or at least in this size category from a sedan perspective, you can get ventilated front seats as well as heated. And so only heated and no heated steering wheel. So something to just keep in mind as you're keeping your options box checked. But this is not the top of the line. This is not the Prestige. This is only the middle, the Premium Plus. Do have memory seats, however, which is very nice, and you have your power fold-in mirrors, blind spot monitoring, traction control, anti-skid control, all-wheel drive, of course, because it's an Audi. You have your controls here behind the shifter that control the Audi MMI system, or the multimedia entertainment system or infotainment system up there in the front. Decent size screen, not the largest in the class, but it does look nice, and it will be comparable to the Volvo and BMW. In fact, some people think that it's a better infotainment system than BMW or Volvo. The thing is that some of these Audi controls are not intuitive, but we'll talk more about that in our real video, the real review. The fit and finish in these cars is excellent. Things are easy to read, and I think mostly you will enjoy the experience. One thing from an interior perspective is that the back seat is fairly tight in this vehicle, especially if you're 6 foot in the driver or passenger seat. Back seat passengers are going to have a lot less knee and foot room. And the seats here in the Audi are fairly flat and wide. So I've heard them described as you sit on them, not in them. So that's something you want to test and keep in mind when you're test driving these cars. And also note that this door sill is fairly wide. You have to really step over it to get out of the vehicle. Let's go take a look what powers this beast under the hood. Under the hood in the 2015 Audi Allroad, you're going to find the inline 4-cylinder, 220 horsepower TFSI engine. This has not changed a lot since we last looked at the car in 2013. In fact, it has the 220 horsepower, 24 miles per gallon combined, 21 city and 28 highway. It's going to be very similar to the setup in the BMW 328i from a just generalities perspective. 8-speed automatic transmission. However, it's going to be less punchy, less performance-oriented, perhaps, than the BMW off the line. It has a lot of lag coming from the turbo, and I noticed that when we looked at the car when it first was released and we looked at the 2013 model. This vehicle still has that. From a stop, when you're crossing traffic or trying to turn left across traffic, you're going to notice a lot of lag, and we'll show you that in our real first impressions driving experience coming up. However, this vehicle does have nice fuel economy, that 24 miles per gallon combined, 21 city, 28 highway. Not bad for an all-wheel drive, fairly large sport wagon that carries a lot of weight, and still has a 0 to 60 time of about 6.3 seconds. It's going to feel well connected to the road, and a lot of that has to do with a lower center of gravity than some of the competing vehicles, and a great setup from Audi in general. Let's go take a look at how this vehicle drives, and we'll just hit the road. All right, so for our first impressions driving debut, I guess you could say, on this 2015 Audi Allroad, the thing that you should know about this Allroad is that it is well grounded to the road. It has good feeling, good road feeling, but it's not going to be as quick in the turn-in as something like a BMW, not even like a Lexus to some degree. It's a little heavier in the steering, although when you come to a full stop, which we'll do here, it does do this neat thing where the steering wheel unweights and it is a lot easier to turn. But I noticed that this still seems a lot firmer than, say, the A5, A4. And I think that's really because it is a lifted vehicle. It has, you know, slightly more aggressive rubber on it for that kind of off-road experience. The suspension on this is wonderful, I think. I think it soaks up bumps well. I don't think it wallows too much through the corners. So from a first impressions perspective in that regard, it is quite nice. Now, there is a particular thing about this car that I don't care for, and it has to do with how you get across traffic. So if you're at a stop here, imagine that I'm trying to cross a busy intersection, and watch this, okay? So you can even watch the counters on the video here for the seconds. Floored. Now we've got power and really get going. And yes, it'll do 0 to 60 in about 6.3 seconds, but it's that 0 to what I'll call 0 to 30 that is quite unfortunate because of the way the turbo setup is in this inline 4-cylinder. So yes, it does have 220 horsepower. It does have a good bit of torque, more than the horsepower, in fact, and it does get decent gas mileage, 24 miles per gallon in town, 21 city, 28 highway. And it's got an 8-speed automatic transmission with the Tiptronic and everything. But that lag is just one of the things that would keep me personally from wanting to own the car, which is really unfortunate because I think everything else about the car is pretty nice. The only other gripe I really have about it is that I like having an auto start on the key fob, which this does not have, and I also think that the seats are a little flat, which is a common criticism for the B series, B segment in the Audi brand, so A4, A5 Allroad. Anyway, that is the real first impressions driving impression on this. We'll have our real video coming up shortly, so make sure you stay tuned for that over the year, and come back for more videos. We'll have the wrap-up coming up next. So that's the real first impressions video edition on the 2015 Audi Allroad. This is the Premium Plus edition, which means that it has some extra options like the heated seats and some other bits and pieces that we've talked about here in the video. It also has the new technology package for 2015, which includes the Color Driver Information Center, which is also an upgrade from the previous generation we looked at in 2013. All in all, though, not a ton has changed in 2015, but we have seen things like the xenon headlights, LED taillights, the new 18-inch rims that are available on the Allroad, and generally this vehicle has continued to be popular with the Audi crowd. It has that extra ground clearance, it has that rugged kind of off-road capability, the aluminum accents around the vehicle that allow it to give it that little bit of luxury with its outdoor ruggedness. It has all-wheel drive, of course, and about 220 horsepower and a 0 to 60 time of about 6.3 seconds. Prices tested comes in at an MSRP of just over $48,000, which is a pretty good deal considering the other competitors out there like the Volvo V60 R-Design and the BMW 328i Sport Wagon. Of course, there's some others out there as well, like the Subaru Outback, if you're not looking for quite as much luxury. All in all, I like this vehicle. I like the looks, I like the design. There's a few things that we've talked about that you'll want to keep in mind, like the lag in the turbo from a stop, but you should put it on your must test drive list if you're looking for a crossover wagon type of vehicle. I'm Jonathan Malone McGrew. This is Real Auto Reports. Like us on Facebook, join our YouTube channel and subscribe, and as always, come back for more reviews. We'll see you down the road.